King's Corner. It's March. That means St. Patty's Day. And as we all know, St. Patty's Day means soda bread. That's right. We got it really early. They made a nice big loaf of bread here. I'm going to show you all how to do this month. Most people, when they're thinking about Irish soda bread, they're thinking about putting fruits and nuts and seeds and all sorts of stuff in there. That's cool, but that's not so much a soda bread as a tea bread, like my invisible quotes. Tea breads are better for slightly fancier occasions. What we're making today, the soda bread, is kind of an everyday thing. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, tea with people you don't really like too much. That's all well and good. So here we go. We're going to start with a nice big bowl here. We got 4 cups of flour and a little bit more for dusting. We have 1 teaspoon of baking soda, tasting delicious. We have 1 tablespoon of baking powder. We have a half teaspoon of salt. I like the kosher salt, it's tasty. We have 1/2 cup, it's 1 stick of butter softened at room temperature. We have 1 cup of buttermilk. If you don't have buttermilk, you can do in a pinch with some regular milk, 2% whole milk, whatever, with a tablespoon or so of lemon juice in there. You can let it sit for a little bit. It'll give the same effect as buttermilk. We also have 4 tablespoons of sugar, white sugar, 1 egg, and we have a little mixture of melted butter, probably a tablespoon of butter and 1/8 of a cup or so of buttermilk for brushing on the bread as it cooks. So, let's get started. Alright, you're going to take your 4 cups of flour. You're going to add your salt, your sugar, your baking soda and powder. You're going to throw those away. Let's get to our big bowl here. And then we're going to get our butter in there. I like to have it broken up into little pats. A fantastic helper did this for me. We're going to get in there and break this butter up with our hands here. Get in there, get the butter kind of coated. We're just going to squeeze it. That's why we softened it, so it makes it a little easier. Get this cut into the butter, or to the flour here. This job right here is good for little kiddies, so they can get in there and squish and squeeze and get their hands dirty. Alright, now we got some chunks of butter in there, that's cool. We got some small pieces of butter, that's cool. That's about where we're at. So, make sure all that stuff's off your hands there. We are going to add in our egg. Make sure you crack that on a flat surface, not the edge of the bowl. And our buttermilk. And if you really want to, you can stir this with your hands, but I'm not going to recommend that. If it's really dry outside, you probably need a little bit more buttermilk than the recipe states to get to where you need to be. So we're going to add a little bit more here and continue with the stir. When you hear that gooby, sloppy sound, you're about there. Oh yeah, that looks good. Alright, you don't want to stir it too much because you'll build up a lot of tough glutens that don't taste too good. So, we're good right there. Now, what we need to do is, I'm going to lose these rings. And that one's going to stay on there. It doesn't want to leave. We're going to hit it with a little bit of flour on top here. A little flour on your hands. Poke, poke, poke. And you kind of move it down a little bit. Get a little more flour in there. Roll that back over onto itself so you can get the other wet side up. Just like that. Get a little little flour in there. Roll it around. A little more flour in there. Once the whole thing's covered in flour, nice and good, it'll roll around and do what you need it to do. We're going to knead it in the bowl here. Not too long. We're not going to get too rough with it. It's kind of behaving today, so. Some people give it a fun little roll like that to knead it. So I think we're about where we need to be here. So we're going to go toward our oven. Alright, we're at the oven. So we have the oven preheated and hot to 375 degrees. So we got our nice baking sheet here. You can use your favorite pan in the world if you want. I like the baking sheet. So we're going to give a little spray, some cooking spray. Hit it with just a little bit of flour on there. Keep it honest. Give a little move it around there. That's good. Perfect. It's not going to the moon. Then, grab your wonderful, awesome bread dough. Flop it down. Get it kind of in the center and get it roughly a circle type shape. Then we're going to give it a split. Cut a nice X in there. Some people like to go in and spread the whole thing out and make it go crazy. We're not going to go with that. Then you got your buttermilk butter mixture here. You got a nice little brush type thing. You can use that. We're using this foam. Brush the top all over. And this is going to make it tasty and delicious all at the same time. That's perfect. We can put this aside and use that a couple more times throughout the baking process. Alright, if it looks like that, you're doing good. If it doesn't look like that, you're doing something different. So, we're going to go into the 375 oven at this point for 40 minutes. Alright, our timer's gone off, so we're going to pull our bread out, give it a check. Everything's hot in there, so of course be careful. Alright, we're looking good here. It's going to need a little bit more time to go. This is a good opportunity to brush it with more of your buttermilk goo. That is a technical term. Alright, that original time we put in there was 40 minutes, and it should take between 50 minutes and an hour or so to go. So we're going to put this back in for probably 5-minute bursts just to kind of get it to where we need it to go without going over. So, let's get the rest of this on here. And what with this being butter, I'm going to eat it with a spoon, so I'll put that off for later. Alright, back in the oven. At this point, you can give it a little spin. 180 degrees. A lot of ovens don't cook too evenly, so I'll make sure it's brown all around. And we'll be back in 5 minutes. That is enough out of you. Let's check the bread here. Oh, that looks good. That looks good. Alright, we'll give it the old stick a toothpick in her test. Nice and clean. I'll show you another trick that I learned off an old Irish lady. Now, this is still hot, so only the initiated should do this. Get a nice dry towel in one hand, flip it over, make a lot of noise, give it a flick. Should sound nice and hollow. Got some nice browning on the bottom there. It's going to be a tasty bread. Alright, to the cooling rack. Alright, now our bread has cooled down. It's the longest half hour I've ever sat through. It smells delicious. The type of soda bread we've made today is eaten traditionally in the south of Ireland, known as cake. In the north of Ireland, you'll find it called farro. Farro is pretty similar. They cook it on a griddle as opposed to in the oven, and they cook them in smaller pieces, kind of this size, just quartered up. Now, I defy you to find a gravy or sauce that this bread will not soak up. Man, this is a really good recipe. If you want this recipe, or any of our recipes, you can go to hiddendirk.com. Goes good with beer, too.